Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Do I have any other motions to modify the agenda? All right, hearing none, call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs?
Aye.
Mr. Ricks?
Aye.
Mr. Smith? Aye. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Motion carries, agenda is approved. Brings us to 4.0 open forum. I've lost the link. Has anyone signed up for open forum?
Where's the thing moved to?
Yeah, I got an email the other day. Hold on. There it is. Nope, nothing new. Okay, that brings us to 5.0 consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. Call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs?
Aye.
Mr. Ricks?
Aye.
Mr. Smith? Aye. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye. Brings us to 6.1 board member comments. Mr. Ricks, sir.
No, I have none at this time.
All right. Mr. Smith.
Towards the end of the year, one of the biggest impacts, district-wise, business-wise, is the budget preparation. And in looking at where our budget's going this year or next year and the preparation, I just wanted to commend the whole district and Pat and Tim and everyone in the district that has done a phenomenal job this past year of getting fiscal controls in place, following those fiscal controls, becoming more disciplined. And hopefully our audit next year will show that, which I'm sure it will. And that's put us into a better place rolling into next year. And the initial figures I looked at, it looks like based on a various number of items, mostly on your hard work as a team in the trenches, that we should be out of the fiscal crunch that we were left in this year and last year's crunch. And I just want to thank everybody for that. Because that's one of my most important things I feel as a board is to enable to keep this district viable. We need to be fiscally responsible. And just thank you to all the staff for that.
All right, Mrs. Combs.
I just want to say that this year has been a tough year. We only have one more month of school left. This year being so tough with COVID, online learning, in-person learning, having to think on our feet. I think this district, we adapted well. We've done great with that. I know my daughter, it was a smooth transition for her from online to in person. And I want to commend all of the staff, all of the administration, because I've done an amazing job here. And I'm sad to see the big changes that are taking place in our administration this year, losing Ms. Marion, and then also having to hire a new superintendent and high school principal. I know that those are big changes once again, 2 years in a row. Just please be patient with us, and to have some good candidates to get everyone's input on, and definitely find someone that will pick right up and have a good week. So once again, thank you for the amazing year this year, all the talent, and I look forward to what the future brings.
Awesome, thank you. Mr. Swayze, sir.
There's so much to say, but I won't bore everybody. I agree with what Mr. Dwight said, but I want to thank our webmaster for all the hard work she's been doing, because it's a nightmare. I've been talking to her, and I think she's doing an awesome job. And so is Mr. Mick with all our business stuff and everything that he's got handling right now. I really appreciate it. That's it.
That's it, sir?
Yep.
All right. So not to, beat a dead horse, but I would like to basically reiterate all comments that the other board members have made here tonight, which is things for taking care of the district with the financial constriction, I guess. Thanks to all the hard work you've done, Mr. McNerney, on your processes and systems, not just in the financial, but across the entire spectrum. And I want to give a special thanks to all those staff members that are here tonight, and that not just the ones that are here tonight, but the ones that participated in that collective proposed change to the leave policies. I love that kind of diving in and tackling a problem. Really pleased about that. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. And then just kind of for the record, I asked for 9.4 to be removed because it's just not comfortable appointing people. We have a long history of some allegations about Little Boy Network and all that kind of stuff, and so that was my reasoning behind it, in case people were curious. All right. I'm assuming we'll have alibis later, so Mr. McNerney, you're up, sir.
Thank you. And I will just say thank you to the board. You all have been amazing supporters this year, and I can't thank you enough. But bigger is to the people who are doing it, not me. So I just can't say enough, and they know it, I hope. But it isn't me, it's them. I'll start first with we are at plus 30 with enrollment from this time, actually 18 months ago. In doing some background checking, that's pretty good given the circumstance of COVID and where everybody's going. I'm still, when I do my superintendent meetings, people are saying we don't know where people went. And we're up 30. I will also pay kudos to the webmaster, because part of my 100-day plan was communication and transfer and marketing our district. The data is suggesting something is working, so that's cool. State assessment. We just finished CMAS. I know Miss Cheeseman is probably saying, God, not that I would speak for you, but maybe I can. And all of PHE, let me reiterate that. But they also took on something that had not been done before and just dove in and did it. We did PSAT, SAT, and I will tell you, gratifyingly, is we had, when I checked PHE and I checked JSHS, almost 98% attendance.
Wow.
So I don't know if they were giving money or cookies or what, but that's pretty amazing. That's what we started with, assessment relevancy, but it's cool.
And that was all in person?
That's all in person. Yes. So it'll be interesting. And I know Michelle and the team at PHE is like me. I'm anxious to see the results. We will see.
Hey, Tim, on that note, just as a parent of students that are at PHE, they said it was flawless. They said everything went smooth, so thank you. And from a parent, from that standpoint, my daughter Brooklyn had an issue with the screens and everything.
Right.
Didn't have a problem one. She was worried going into the testing, but afterwards didn't have a problem. So
they tackled something like Danielle was saying, Ms. Combs. There's so much this year. And they had a new assessment coordinator. They had new processes. And this is what we get. It isn't me. It's the folks. It's cool. ESSER 1, 2, 3. I have been talking about this for a while. Summatively, we're talking about $750,000 or so. ESSER 2, Pat and I will be filling out and completing next week. I think we're taking a day to do that. ESSER 3, we're going to do in May after we get the ESSER 2s appropriated. The budget our board secretary was talking about is a reflection of those monies. We're doing some creative things to get sustainability occurring, because if I'm in the public, I'm going to go, when that's gone, then what? Miss Petrikaitis and I both have spent a great amount of time with Miss Dean in getting sustainability. Fortunately, these are not done till 2024, but it's COVID and we gotta backdoor some things to make sure the general GLs are the way they are. So everything you will see in May as a preface is sustainable for 3 years. Just I'm planting the seed. Okay. Athletics, we're going to start season D coming up next week, I believe. The middle school track is starting on Tuesday, and then we roll until June 19th. Line is the last event. Enrollment I talked about, and then the last thing, these are all happy notes. My board report, you'll notice it's a happy note. Yeah. Okay. The last one I did put in black, because I'm not happy, is our COVID. Numbers are not going the right way. And publicly, and I know Chris comes out of helicopter will not be angry, but they just went off for 10 days. Came back yesterday. It's still out there, so all I could say is, and that's what we preach in our district, is it's not out of the woods yet. Please, 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 please. We've got graduation, we've got prom, we've got school, we've got activities. Please don't, no pun intended, don't let your mask down. It ain't over yet. And that's my report.
Awesome. I do have an NL, but I'll just bring it up to another business. All right, that brings us to DAC report. Ms. Goggins.
So we had an interesting start to our meeting. There wasn't as many of us. But it picked up a little bit. So we're still working on like being a little bit more efficient in our voting process and making sure that all the little conservative. So that'll be a little pretty going forward. We also talked about the idea of stacks, so we're maybe able to give you some links to look at. I'll be looking more at those this weekend. And then emailing out to DAC, and then so we can kind of discuss, is there a need for it? Do we maybe need to reevaluate how we participate with some of the schools, or open up things a little bit more, maybe reach out to the teachers in a different way, just kind of decide what that looks like and what would be best for us. We also got to take a sneak peek at the website, like we talked about Tim. I know for me, I was really excited. I know whether the input was already in her mind or what we talked about last month, but there's so many things that make us look so much better on this new format. So I'm super excited when it rolls out. I think it'll be like a great thing for our district to see a new version of us. I'm also really excited she'll be partnering with the schools to make sure there's some representative there from the high school and the elementary school to take over that and to have that engagement. So I think that'll be a nice thing to kind of keep it going. So we definitely appreciate everything that happened with that. We got to take a little bit of a look at XCAP. One thing I noticed on the website was the older strategic plan. So Tim was able to give us some pretty good feedback on what we're looking at, what we might start into for next year, and kind of what that looks like for us. So that was nice to see that breakdown. In terms of the schools, Prairie Heights is continuing to grow. So they're at 129 students, which is pretty close to the high school. So that's something that as DAC is going to look at where students are coming from. You know, what does that look like as our district continues to grow? How do we kind of take care of them the way that we do now? Because we appreciate all that you guys do for sure, especially coming from a parent. There's a lot of great things. CMAS, like you spoke of, obviously with the internet going down, pushed it back a little bit at the elementary school, but the communication was phenomenal. We got updates right away, how we could get a hold of people, what we needed to do. So, you know, for me, that made me feel really good about that, whether it came from preschool or the front office. So thank you. The staff members also had great feedback from Ms. Amber, who's the one that kind of ran CMAS. She did a phenomenal job, so thank you, Amber, for that. There will be the end of the year barbecue with the fire concert in May, so for those that got to go to the beginning of the year, that was a really good time for us to kind of reconnect, see things, so really look forward to that. The backpack program, went on with our kids as well. It's exciting. And then for the high school, prom week coming up, and it's gonna be great high school, for Hanover Park. So it's very exciting, I see this with, forward, where we made it for the party, so we have that there. Really exciting that they're doing steaks for everyone, so there's a lot of great things coming at that. We'll have more for you guys next month. Big list, she got really excited, so she wasn't able to come back, but so we have some stuff that's
Awesome. Thank you very much. Any questions?
No, I just want to say it's great to see the progression of the back from where it was to where it's going.
Absolutely.
Just thank you for your dedication. It's amazing to have it.
Did you guys get the questionnaire out to give questions for the superintendent to the community?
Yeah, so that we talked about that too. I apologize. So that is up on the website. We saw that. I saw Jeff posted on Nextdoor, and then Michelle sent a message out on JoJo. So it's kind of coming across a lot.
I didn't get the one on Dojo. Michelle, you
I was
did?
like, it's on the main page.
I'll have to look on my Dojo.
Yeah, if you go to the website, it's the first thing that pops up as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen the others. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, it
Make
is.
sure.
And then we-
Okay, good.
No. Don't sit down. Because I remember since I was the one community member at the last superintendent search committee meeting, that the plan was for somebody from the DAC to be the MC for those questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I also know because I listened to the DAC meeting that they picked one. And so I wanted to give her an opportunity to tell us.
Oh, yeah, okay. Tell us who that, yeah, it'd be you. They picked you?
No, she volunteered.
Oh, you volunteered.
Well, so Jeff said, does anybody want to do this? There's this big long silence and then we goes, okay, I'll do it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for
So-
So thank you for that. And
It's there.
just
just have to
keep you in the
look, 'cause
limelight a little bit, you know.
I haven't been on for a little bit.
I followed DAC for quite a while because at one point my wife was on it and she used to come home frustrated. And you guys are doing good things and I like the alignment that you're having with the board. And truly DAC, is a committee of the board, but you're there to represent, you're there to kind of check us and keep us abreast and help us be better with the community. And thank you for that. And it's been a good year so far with working with the community, letting us know what's happened and being able to help be kind of the, not necessarily the mouthpiece, but an information source for the board to get out to the public in a way that is easier to understand. Because I know sometimes when I speak from this table, it's a little, or not, I won't say it's aristocratic, but it's not always the easiest to understand and for you guys to be able to field those questions. And
Well, I will say, I do appreciate what the change that for the district behind that, it was, we have a very happy, a lot of stuff that's happening. At that, like, school level, so I wanted to know more, my son was my first one in school, and so to see that progression has been a big deal. So I appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, anything else for today? All right. Brings us to 8.1. 2021 comprehensive policy review, postponed February policy statuses. So I just copied the cover sheet from last time. Now, where did it go? Here we go. So the GCAs, I think we have figured out, which is we're going to use our template. And I believe Tim sent me those. And so I just got to put them into the policy format and we'll have them for final read next month. GBGD, this is the one about workers' compensation. I thought we were going to have a survey and ask the staff what they wanted to do. And where are we at with GBGD?
That has not occurred because I've been embraced with what we're about to talk with.
Okay, fair enough.
That the core of it, that will immediately follow.
Okay, so yep, GBGD. We'll get an update next month.
Yes.
Hopefully you'll have the results of your survey. And I would think that, if you haven't been following, there's only two options, right? And so I think the survey will point us towards one option clearly, and then if we get it done quickly enough, we may be able to do second read on it next month,
Sounds good.
based on timing. GCQEA, and that is the voluntary early retirement. And I remember us getting feedback from the superintendent last month saying that we're right in line with para, but that doesn't tell me what we should do with the policy, because remember there were options in there.
So my feedback from that was aligned to it. So they, as from a retirement lens, and again, the correlates for what we're about to approach with
Leave, right?
committee, is the 30-day, and the hours, they measure by hours,
Right.
to correlate with that. Hours or days, I really, as you and I talked a little bit,
Right.
is moot.
All right. So we want to go with the 30-day option that's in that policy.
In that policy.
Okay.
Yes, Not,
All right.
not breathe, not this one. Not
Okay.
GBGG.
Okay. And then the last one on here is GDD, which I believe is moot based on the next discussion item.
Correct.
Leave policy status. So I've seen lots of good stuff. You guys did what I asked with breaking out annual leave versus sick leave, and I really appreciate that because that flows in the line of the structure that CASB has. So I like that. Anybody want to talk? Feel free. You don't have to. Oh, yes, please.
So I don't want to, I did not plan to talk.
Okay, well then you don't have to, ma'am.
I have, don't want to be dead horse. So we looked up the file that CASB recommends. And when we read the file that CASB recommends, it says that we need to have a sick leave policy. Well, the old policy that we had, the staff annual leave, does provide a sick leave policy. We can use that time in any way we want. And just in talking to people on the staff after we met, and thank you, Tim, we had really great meetings and they were very productive. But when we went out and we talked to the staff and just kind of told them what we were doing, the staff was very frustrated because they were saying, wait a minute, we have 8 days now and we can use all 8 days to be sick, or we can use them in other ways, but we still get to choose how we use those days. And it's very troubling to them that now we're going to say the plan we talked about, and to begin with, the first 5 years, that they can only use 6 days a year for sickness, and they can only have 2 days for personal leave.
I thought that number was a little low, by the way.
I agree that it is a little low. I was thinking that if we have to do this, where we have a sick leave policy and a staff, what do we call it? Personal?
Annual leave, personal time off.
PTO, personal time off.
Every time, I don't know why, I keep thinking, oh yeah, it's not PTA. PTO. Okay, all right. If we have to do that, we've got to push the days up, I think. And I don't really want to run over all the hard work that we did, but just when we talk to the staff, there is concern.
Well, and if you're I'm sorry to interrupt you, but if your informal survey has raised concerns, I think maybe we need to keep this have some more meetings and come up with the right numbers. Because also one of the things that I was concerned about was that the full year classified staff, they were getting shorted by that 8 as well, because they were getting more than that to start. So I'm still on board if you guys want to keep putting it through the ringer and come up with a better solution.
So for me, if you ask me what I want and what I've heard from the staff, we prefer just having that annual leave policy. But if we have to split it out in 2 ways, I appreciate the way that Pat and Tim, brought the idea of PTO and sick leave. But we've got to raise those days every day.
So
Because, and
Totally fine with that.
and I really like the way that we worked on what to do with us old timers and what we're gonna do with our days, because it seems like going from getting paid 80 days, half of what a substitute gets, to the policy that was, looked at in
Proposed, right?
December to 12 days. I mean, that's shocking.
Not just, very shocking.
If I
but
sound too
Now,
up
see,
in air.
here's
you're
my,
right.
You're right.
no, which is why when, it was brought to our attention that was a huge concern, absolutely, we immediately reconsidered it. But I think one of the things that probably was not brought up in your meetings is that in order for the business management office to do this right, whatever, however it ends up being, right? The number of days, the 80 is the cap, right? To properly budget and track this, we're going to have to carry a huge number in the line item of budget for leave payout, possible leave payout. And that number is going to be really big. We're talking more than 6 figures, at least 100,000 for all the employees. And, honestly, to do it right, we're not going to be able to touch that money. We can't put it in the reserve. We can't spend it. And so I would just hope and ask, pray that maybe we could reconsider that 80. Now, again, you're never going to lose, right? You'll get paid what you go over, whatever number we agree on. If you go over 80, like if somebody's at 87 right now, I think, looking at the numbers. So at the end of this fiscal year, they're going to get paid for 7. If the number we land on is 80. So you're never going to lose it. It's just, you won't get that huge paycheck at the time that you retire. And I just really want you guys to consider that. It has significant budget impacts that I don't think you guys have considered.
No, actually, we have. We've talked about that in our meeting. And we understand that is something that is hanging out there. And I'm not in the union, and I'm not speaking as a negotiator.
No.
Or a union person. I'm just giving you the feedback and the vibe.
That's what we want.
Hearing and that, we're concerned about. And some of those are very real to us.
Absolutely.
And so
Especially the ones that have been in the district for a long time, especially for you guys that have been in the district for a long time, definitely should not be punished for what you have approved.
Well,
and
no,
still
I mean,
have at this
so
point in
the
time.
policy that we went from, Danielle, is half of a substitute pay, which is right now is 55, 60.
115 a day, so
Right.
half,
Right. So less than 60.
correct.
And what we're proposing, and I certainly haven't objected to in any form, is half of the daily rate at the time that they take it.
Yep.
So if you're making $300 a day, you get $150 a day as opposed to 60. So I think, and again, that is also contributing to that large dollar value that we're going to have to carry from year to year.
And I think that we would be able to, our little team would be able to definitely work on that. Because I do know that you shared some ideas with Sandy and we talked about.
Yeah.
So, yes, that would be something.
I'd like you to also realize that some of what we're doing isn't because we just want to upset the apple cart. But when you look at best practices with leave, almost every organization separates where there's some sick and there's some annual. And the goal there is that in some organizations, you lose your sick if you don't use it. Some you can carry over. But that really comes into play when you start looking at all the federal leaves and the state leaves, where your sick is and where your annual is. And in my mind, if they're the same, there are some things that could happen where you would have to exhaust all your leave before you could get a benefit, instead of just exhausting the sick and then having your regular. So I hope that you guys can look beyond just that we're changing it up, but there's definitely a reason for why it's happening. And
Well-
it's important that we follow best practices,
Well, and
especially
not
in
just
the HR
that,
realm.
I'm sure Tim shared with you guys that sick leave thing that's in the CASB policy comes directly from a new state law. Yeah, so we really don't have a choice. We have to do, I think you guys rested on the minimum, right? So we have to do that 6 days of sick leave a year. The only thing we have wiggle room in is how much you can accrue before you get paid out, or whether or not you lose it, or things like that. And I don't think we've ever talked about losing it.
Well, and so another area that us long timers,
Mm-hmm.
old timers had a concern about, and I think that we just need to be sure our language is very good in this, and we did work on that. Actually, we did work on this piece, was just a surety where that we would be able to use our days, our big stack, our personal stack of days, either way, as sick or leave, because we have acquired them as personal leave days.
I think that's certainly fine, and we can certainly put language in any days that were accrued before the passing of this policy can be used for any purpose. One sentence. I'm certainly not
Yeah,
opposed to
I'm
that.
not either.
that makes perfect sense.
That makes,
And then we also worked on the language for how we would get paid out, so that we would be clear that it was for all of our days, our sick, all the days, and our personal
Mm-hmm.
PTO days.
Yeah.
Through the years that we accumulated. But we got that.
Yeah, I thought that language was in there. It was good.
Well, and I think that also one of the points of view that we were looking at as well is if you get paid out every year, and say someone's even just halfway through their career, you get paid out that leave every year and you deposit it and don't touch it. Now, what you do with it is fine. That's nobody else's business. But you will actually make more money than a final payout.
Yeah, if you put it into an investment account,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You'll make a lot more money. So that's kind of the thought process too of, hey, this actually might benefit as opposed to hinder.
Yeah, the thing is that's so practical. But for a lot of the teachers, we're just trying to keep the wheels on the road. And we've got kids, and my daughter has kids that get sick. And so just having those days build up is really valuable to us, because we don't know what's coming down the road. Just today, my husband broke down on his way to work, and I thought maybe I was going to have to go get him, but my son did, who had to take, time off of
Right.
work.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's just, but yeah, that's very practical.
No, I just throw that out as an option as well.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see us get to a place. And being married to a teacher, I see this and it frustrates me from my own wife as a teacher and schools in general. I'd like to be able to get to a place to where teachers feel that they can take a week off and do a vacation when it's not the school year. And if a policy has to be worded, if we have to do a policy in such a way where it's more pointed that you take your leave instead of saving it for your entire life, that's where I want you to be, because I want us to be able to be an employer of choice that says we have a good quality life for our teachers. And I know that's Dwight's pie in the sky, because I know the teaching field and how it works, and not how teachers feel, but unfortunately how teachers are roped into this field and administrators feel that you get a summer so you don't get days off during the school year. And that's a shame.
And I really appreciate your saying that, because it's true. You want your teachers to have healthy, full lives. so that they can bring all of this to their kids and they are teaching the whole child. Our problem is we don't have enough subs. And so my brother's having a lung surgery on Monday, and I haven't asked for a day off yet, and I will if I have an emergency. But it's because I feel like everybody is so stretched and we don't have that many subs. And I really want to be there for the team and for the kids. And so I appreciate what you said, because ideally it would be nice if we could, not feel so bad about taking time off or using our summers even to take time off. But we need more subs.
Well, it's not just.
I just wrote that down in all caps.
Well, it's not just a Hanover problem. 'Cause my wife works for a large district in Pueblo, and their teachers feel the same way. So, and they have subs. So it's the mindset. And I just, I think that's I'd love to see that change in education. I don't know how much we can do it, but.
So you want us to go back to the drawing board?
I wouldn't say back to the drawing board,
Well, not to the drawing, just.
but tweak it. Make it so that you're satisfied. And let's not forget the classified staff. Make sure that gets all considered and make sure that number, because that number 2 for the first 5 years, that's way.
PTO you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
Crazy.
For my understanding, I would rather see PTO be 8 or 9 days and leave be 6 days, but it's use or lose. So if you don't
sick is use or lose.
Sick is use or lose. So you have 6 days of sick leave during a year, but you also have those personal days, and it could start at say 6 and build up. But that sick leave isn't something that you carry over. Your annual leave could carry over.
Yeah,
So,
we should throw that against the wall and see if that sticks.
because that's how I don't work for the state anymore. I work for a regular private company now. And I get 4 days a year that is essentially sick time. But if I don't use it, I lose it. And then I get 8 days a year of vacation. So there's some options that you could explore beyond just what you're looking at.
So there was one other thing that the staff has asked questions about.
Sure.
When we look at this, and that is the long list of things that qualify as sick.
Mm-hmm.
So when I read through it, I assume that there is never an occasion where we have to break our HIPAA rights and really say why we're asking for these sick days.
That's a really good question. I haven't really thought about that.
I know that is the model that was given you, but my goodness, when I went through it, I looked at that, I thought, ooh, this is a lot of.
Well, I think my opinion is that we work on the honor system until it's proven that it's being abused, I think.
Unless we see you driving down the street and you're not homesick.
Right.
In a
Well,
hospital.
Right. If you say you're taking sick leave,
Right.
if I see but if you take sick leave and then, we watch you finish first in the Boston Marathon, I think we're going to have a problem.
Right.
So when that in the HR world where I came from, if it was a return to work certificate was required if you missed 3 days of leave or not. And that's pretty much industry standard, and that's federal law actually
On 3 days.
under FMLA. If you're absent more than 3 days, you have to provide a doctor's note that you're not what your sickness is, but that you're fit to come back to work. But anything beyond that is the honor system, and
So where that becomes a problem is where we have children who are sick, or like I said, my brother, because in that long list in there.
family sick is an option.
This family sickness is an option.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm not gonna be able to get a doctor's note.
Well, if you're claiming family sick, you wouldn't have to do that.
But
But you would need to rightfully claim it. And one of the things that frustrated me for years when I was with the state in certain areas is they weren't being honest with why they were sick, and therefore they were losing benefits, and they weren't understanding it, because especially if we started to get involved in like FMLA protections and how that works, that is very specific. But beyond of The other ones, family sick is a specific one, and you're sick is the specific one. And the reason I brought that 3 days up is the only time that I've seen where it's been required that you even have something from a doctor is personally when it's you and it's a fit to return, not
Yeah,
what I
but
was sick
this
from.
policy we're talking about is not happening.
So it, okay, because that's why I still go back to that staff annual leave policies, because we just said,
Yep.
and it was accepted.
Right, but
And I know that probably it has been abused and just gone over my head. But I personally haven't known people that have abused it. Actually, I thought just one.
well, it's not that we believe you're going to abuse it.
Just gone.
It's not that we really ever thought you're going to abuse it, but we have to be in line with best practices. And if you were to really dig into FMLA and how that's supposed to work, the type of sick you have matters. And whether it's sick leave or annual leave matters. And we could sit here and say, well, we've never been in that position before, so it doesn't matter. But it only takes one time. And that's a federal law. And if we're not in compliance with that, that can be some bad juju for the district. And
So basically, have a few sick days, just take it personally.
I mean, that's the reason some of these things are coming from this town. And it's not that we're not trying to be hard, but there's some constraints there federally and state that we have to comply with.
So I think we need to talk about this some more. Definitely have some more meetings and tweak it. And move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for all of
You're
your
good
input.
with that, Mrs. Dunn? Okay.
You know, I've seen people, personal days taken as sick time too. There's nothing wrong with that.
No,
Well, no, there is nothing wrong with that, but at the same time, okay, if you are sick and you take PTO, you don't get that FML protections.
Oh crap, that's true.
Like say that you,
Well, we gotta
just
figure out
you're
some way to
sick, so you
protect
call
them.
out work
This is
and then it's
crazy.
not getting better, then you go and get tested for COVID, then you have to be out for weeks.
Oh,
that's a whole
Then-
different game.
well, okay,
That's
so
when the
there's
FMLA comes into play.
another clause down in the bottom of GBGG. Pandemic,
And still-
double the, triple the days,
Yeah.
something like that.
And they don't go against them.
Right.
They don't go against them?
No.
Okay, good, good.
The tough thing we're battling, I speak, tell me if what I'm saying is not correct, was ethics. And that is between sick and PTO. And we spoke in our committee at length about if it's all annual, quote unquote, PTO, there is no ethics. Because you get to call it.
That's true.
But by standard, we don't have a choice with that.
Right.
We have to claim, and we did speak at length about this.
But we could go back to being really heavy on PTO and do the bare minimum that the law requires on sick, and then use it. We could do that.
That's something from a waiver lens that we can discuss as we talk numbers. The language is all pretty much clear and written.
I think it's just a number
It's
tweaking.
just
Yeah.
numbers. If I'm hearing summative
Yeah.
correctly, we've
Yeah,
got
that's
to
what I thought I heard.
for the table that we put in there, proportion to feedback. And I think we're ready to go for a first read by May.
And then some discussions that have been had, just so you can let your committee know, is, as the president alluded to, he said, we need to set up a special fund so that we can fund this. There's never been that before. So the way, if we set it up accurately, what's gonna happen is, we're gonna have this fund over here, we might have to use we're gonna have to fund it. But when you get ready to leave the district, there's 3 of you that have been here for a long time. It's not that you're old timers, but you've given us service, long years of service. When you go to leave, you will not negatively impact the budget. Because that buyout has already been funded, almost a
Right.
quasi-retirement. That's what we need to do.
It needs to have its own line item. We need
If
to
we
make
put
sure we have this
sick
for when they're
days,
ready
so
to.
sick,
Okay,
and
good.
sick.
I'm glad.
And that's one thing that we're looking at, is that's gonna benefit you guys even more, because if 3 of you leave at a similar time, it's not gonna put us in a negative impact budget wise. And that's one of those ways that we can set up so that instructions are good.
And I honestly think this policy will help get new teachers as well. We definitely want people to feel like they're getting taken care of. Staff needs to feel like they're getting taken care of, and if they need to be sick, or if we have something come up, that it's covered, and that we're just cares about their whole body. We want them to care about our whole student and the whole student and whole body. we wanna reciprocate that same thing to them. Because if they're not whole, how can we expect them to give our child their, you know, the whole, like,
Yep.
their whole body,
Absolutely.
the whole student? I mean, it starts with them as far as what kind of teaching and students that we will produce out of our district. And, you know, you guys, I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All the
And-
hard work that you guys are doing.
And for the record, we're not gonna make this effective until 1 July. Don't wanna try to change courses in the middle of the fiscal year and have to throw money that we may or may not have into this line item that's new magically created, because that would make Carrie and Pat pull their hair out. And so it will be part of the new budget and won't be effective till 1 July, whatever it is we decide on.
Except for Miss Dunn, Miss Booker, and Decker, and
And
you
Booker.
guys it affects now. A long time service was, no, we want to protect you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
absolutely.
we're arguing about. That's,
Yeah.
so, we really appreciate you.
All right, anything else on leave? All right, brings us to website hosting migration update. Sir, do you have anything for us?
So, did Prairie Heights, Michelle, Sandy, did Prairie Heights get the post link not to be published yet? Did you guys get a copy of that today? Have you got one recent? Okay, I'll share with you in just a second. Webmaster just shared it with me this morning, and I didn't seek approval, but I shared it with my staff, because I want feedback.
Yeah, I heard that. Thank you very much.
I got it. You didn't?
Cut it before everybody else. So please stop.
The feedback is absolutely wonderful.
Oh, good.
It's on the mission and path that we want to be. So, webmaster, awesome.
That's why I said my comments. Thank you. Yes.
When do we envision the migration to occur?
We're hoping by end of week.
We're not gonna do that until we get PHE feedback though, right?
Correct. I'm gonna send that out here and.
Okay. Okay, sounded like French and I don't think that's what you said, but anyway, I took a little bit of a long time ago. Yeah,
I think I'll send it to.
800 freaking years.
I know French. Know enough to get me in trouble.
Yeah, same with me. Okay. Anything else? All right. Brings us to 9.1, 2021. Comprehensive policy review update, second read. Do I have a motion to approve 9.1?
I so move.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. Discussion. Well, that was easy. So for the record, we reviewed every single policy last month. We went through all the proposed changes. We did talk them to death. I was actually a little hoarse after the meeting. Sure you couldn't tell. I covered it very well, but. Okay, any other discussion on 9.1? Call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye, motion carries. Brings us to 9.2, password management regulation GBEE-R. Do I have a motion to approve 9.2?
So moved.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. Discussion?
I think this policy is long overdue.
For the record, the webmaster has already created a form that will be used to properly register these passwords. And this is gonna affect not just the webmaster and the board assistant, but also some of the financial stuff. We need to scour, once this is passed here in about 2 minutes, we need to scour all of the appropriate covered accounts and make sure that we get them properly documented. Anything else on GBEER? Call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye, motion carries. Brings us to 9.3, 2020-2021 supplemental budget. Do I have a motion to approve 9.3?
All motions.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second? Thank you. Discussion? And we just covered this like a week and a half ago, so.
We just beat it to death.
Good
Call
things
for
are
the vote,
happening.
please, sir.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye, motion carries. As an aside, our amended budget is not on the website, the one we passed in January. Last I checked, a few hours ago. So if we could get the amended and supplemental budget posted directly, or maybe you want to wait till the new website hits the street, we could wait till the end of the week.
I mean, if it hasn't been on there since then, it wouldn't hurt till after the.
Is there a resolution required with this?
The resolution's in the packet, sir.
So signatures was before.
Yep, yeah, we have lots of stuff to sign tonight. All right, brings us to 9.5, bus lease approval. Do I have a motion to approve 9.5?
I so move.
Thank you, sir. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Discussion. Mr. Superintendent,
No, I'd go with that.
Mr. Dusling, would you like to illuminate, we've read the packet, but would you like to illuminate the audience what we're doing here?
I went through and I looked at the status of our buses and what we're actually paying right now to do maintenance on the buses annually. It's costing us a lot more than if we would go to lease buses. So we come up with a 3-year plan to implement and get some new buses for the district.
Yeah, so basically what we're gonna get, I think you left out the big prize, right? We're getting brand new buses.
Okay,
Yeah,
that was gonna
Two,
be my question.
But we needed an extra adjective, brand new buses.
Like capital.
These buses that we're looking at for this year would be 2021.
How big, Jeff?
There's 72 passengers. Every bus we'll get will be 72 passengers. This way, we're not trying to juggle routes and all that because we have to go to a sporting event. So now we have to take this big bus and now we have to figure out how to switch stuff around. So we went with straight 72 passenger buses throughout.
And the big payoff to me is it's actually gonna save us money
Yes.
on an annual basis to have brand new buses.
How much money, Chuck?
It's a lot.
So we tallied, Pat and I, Chuck, all tallied together, and we're spending about 48 a year on maintenance. To get
Per bus.
per bus. To get two brand new spanking 72 lease, we're gonna go lease. We're talking 32K. So we're gonna get two this year and we're gonna get two the next year.
Is that 32K a piece or
32K.
total? So we're doing 48K a year for one bus. That's 96K a year for maintaining two buses. And we're gonna buy two for 32K. We're saving.
Lease.
We are not
Lease.
It's a lease
Sorry,
purchase. It's a
sorry.
lease purchase option.
We're gonna lease.
purchase, not buyout.
No, but by lease purchase,
Yes,
by the end of the lease, we're gonna own them.
correct, for 6 years.
Right.
Right.
But the thing is, we're gonna save $60,000 a year after the first year. Then we're gonna save $60,000 a year, the next year.
Yes.
So after 2 years, we're gonna save $120,000. Ooh, there's the retirement fund.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have brand new buses.
Yes.
Correct.
We're gonna start with the new buses we get. We'll stay on the two of the 3 routes that we have that stay on pavement.
Which is a good idea because it's gonna grow over there. Kids come to the high school.
Yep.
Next year's gonna be
Yeah,
a lot
Emily just
more.
talked about
Yeah,
it.
and especially with us
Yeah.
growing.
Yeah, well, Chuck figured out there's like 30 more kids coming this way. High schoolers, and we're not losing that many.
Another route next year.
Yeah, because we don't have those two big buses. Yeah.
My son's junior year, we had 2 routes from over there. So it ebbs and flows, but
We are-
happens.
It's way overdue. It's not safe for kids. Everything we do is for
No.
kids. This is
Some of those
affordable.
buses.
It will save us money. And we've got a 3-year plan. it is sustainable.
So this was check the pat of the budget, everything's in
Yep,
line.
and
Okay,
Chuck brought it.
We're
We've
saving
been
money.
doing
Thank you,
this
Chuck.
for 3 weeks now.
So then is there a plan then to sell our current buses that we own?
So that's the next part of this plan is what can we get for our parking lot? Cause that's gotta get cleaned up.
Yeah.
Right,
We have not broke that yet.
okay.
Because that would also
Yeah.
pay right.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
mean, there's
Anything we
still
can
some
gain.
good buses out there. It's just,
Sure,
we
sure.
gotta get better maintenance on them.
Right,
I'll
well-
tell you that right now.
And so the reason that we did this action item this month is so that Chuck and Pat can move forward
Yes.
and get all the lease agreements and everything signed so that we can pay for it on July 1st when the new budget year starts.
Nice.
So
If I read it right, and I looked at it right, our first payment would not be until January of next year.
Right, but we have to budget for that
Right,
now.
Yeah, we
Right.
already have.
Yeah.
We already
will
have.
that change our insurance policy as well? Because with owning the buses as
They go
opposed to
down.
leasing them, that should also save us money.
Go down because they're newer.
Exactly.
We have calculated that also.
Better gas
So-
mileage.
So I think this is
I
just a
like it.
fantastic thing. I'm pleased as punch.
Yeah.
Can't tell you how pleased I
Thank
am
you for
about
doing
this.
all the
Yeah.
legwork.
Thanks
Chuck.
for the work.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for bringing it forward, because you could have this great idea and then sat on it,
He
Very
did.
much.
I mean, he did. He told me about it about 4 or 5 months ago. I've been kicking him every day since.
So this concept that we're looking at doing, this is the same way that the Hanover Fire Department buys their new engines.
Yes.
And what they do is every time that they pay a truck off, they lease purchase another one. So what that does is our lease purchase, because I'm on the fire board also, so kind of speak, but our lease purchase payment is $31,000 a year. And we intentionally look when that next truck is due, that we keep paying that $31,000. So it's essentially keeping us in a capital campaign mode.
Right.
So that we are never in a position to where we're spending all of our money on what we need and we lose an engine and there's no way to get one. So this lease purchase, it's a good process. It can work.
We looked at this, as I was doing my superintendent council and all the stuff. When we talked about it, I went out around my colleagues and said, what are you guys doing? Because for the 3 years I've been here, 2 of them, it was, what are we gonna do? And we're nervous about tomorrow.
Mhm.
And so it really isn't about the ESSER monies. It's about what we've done with the help of guidance and saying we can do this, and not only well, but sustainably and get up to date. It is much like the devices, and that's why the urgency, and that's what I wrote in the cover letter is, we are nervous if we don't get this blessed, we're gonna be like devices and without. So that is why the committee recommended urgently.
So a question for you then. The fact that we're leasing them and not buying them outright as well, will that null and void now the need for a bus barn in the future, being that if a hailstorm comes,
Another lease purchase.
it's really their problem, not necessarily ours?
I'm still looking in and getting exact pricing on the lead to cover the new vehicle.
So this isn't a traditional lease, Paul, where you lease the vehicle and turn it back in.
Right.
This is, it's a lease purchase, which is lease to own, but there's no buyout at the end. But the lease purchase in the banking industry is the terminology they have to use to enable them to be able to have us do a once a year payment instead of additional lease where you have to pay every month.
Correct.
But lease purchase is just terminology, but really, in reality, we're buying a bus and financing it for 6 years.
Correct.
And after the 6 years, we own it. So it's all a bunch of bank
We're going to
terminology.
have this, it's a staple item expense, we're gonna have it, we're in the industry.
Yeah.
So why not capitalize? I would like to get 6 by 3rd year. I'm not gonna quote that yet.
And if we're,
But
yeah.
we've got to get that
and
fleet.
if the board that's here is smart, in 6 years, when they pay off the first 2 buses, they lease purchase 2 more buses.
Period.
And then they sell those to somebody else, because as I said, we constantly budget that 32,000 with a little accelerator in our budget, and that's a known expense. We're always gonna be able to have a good fleet of buses. We need to get out of the budgeting. We need to budget strategically and not budget for tomorrow.
We have already started working on getting the barn, because we've got some ideas we're not ready to discuss,
Yeah.
but it's right there. We gotta protect our
Investment. Yep, absolutely. All right, anything else on bus lease? All right, call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye. Motion carries. Brings us to 9.6 DAC membership. Do we have a motion to approve 9.6?
I make a motion to approve 9.6.
That'll be no problem. Do I have a second? Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you, ma'am, for your first. Pretty much the cover sheet stands for itself. We were negligent last year in doing this. So we're catching up and we're gonna do it again in the summer. Hopefully July, at the latest August board meeting. I guess the only other thing I want to say about DAC membership is we actually have a business member on the DAC now, first time in a long time. So that's exciting. All right, anything else? Call for the vote, please, sir.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye, motion carries. It brings us to 10.0 information updates. Discussion?
Thank you. The updates are I enjoy reading them, and it's great to see that we're up students and all the great things all the schools are doing for the students is really what we're here for.
Anything else? Just always, as always, kudos, thanks to those, for those updates, and we love the information. All right, that brings us to 11, other business. Do we have any other business?
No, you do.
I was gonna let you guys go first. Superintendent Search Committee update, sir.
Wait a minute, you said you had other business first.
And that was my other business.
Okay, we have 7 applicants, 6 of them have sent in all that's required. One, I've been talking to and trying to get him to submit all the information. All the people on the committee have the resumes and the information. I've read through half of them, so they all look like very interesting and will fit what we need. We're gonna have a meeting next week after.
Job posting closes Friday night.
Right, I'm getting ready to say that. Job posting closes this Friday at midnight, right, Dwight? At midnight, and we're gonna have a meeting next week to review all the applicants and see what we feel. And I'm gonna call all the references and see any information we can glean from there. And then we'll go through them, and then we'll have our Q&A of the individuals, and we'll submit them to the board. And I would like to know, it says 3, but if I have 4 good candidates, can I not submit 4 to the board?
The number of finalists that the committee chooses is the number of finalists the committee chooses.
That's what I need.
It has to be 3 or greater.
Okay, good. Then, yeah, that's just me. I think there is 3 or greater, but the other.
Well, can we just wait to the interview, sir?
I'm just by paperwork, by reading, okay? I'm not mentioning the names or anything, but I think.
You're right, yeah.
I think there's 3 that is what we're looking for. A minimum of 3, and I'm let everybody else make their own mind. I'm not gonna tell them nothing. And I think that's all. We're gonna have a meeting this week. I just gotta get with everybody and see.
This week or next week?
Huh?
You're having a meeting next week?
Next week, because
Okay.
Friday's last is closed.
For the meeting next week, it's gonna be posted on the website, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Agenda and everything?
Right.
Okay. I just wanna make
Right.
sure. Time, all that.
More likely it'll be next Wednesday at 6:30
In
in the room right over there. More likely,
Okay, okay.
but it will be posted.
Perfect.
All right. Any other business?
No.
All right. Brings us to 12.0 adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Almost did, dude.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Do you need anything with Lexi Thankful or? help with the little kids,
Yeah.
if something's
Well,
bad, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
You let
thank
me know,
Yeah, I
I
will.
can come over to your house, they can, more than welcome to come over to my house,
Okay,
whatever.
No, thank you, thank you.
Definitely dinner, whatever you need, okay?
okay. No, thank you.
Please reach out,
Oh, I will.
all right,
Oh.
we got your back.
You still looking for your parents? Or you get to
No, we bought a
Well,
house
Paul,
a
you
few
also
years ago.
know, like, I
I
live a
live
hell
on
of a
the
lot
same
closer
road,
than
it's
Mrs.
still on
Holmes.
the
If you guys need
Oh,
anything,
okay.
we're just
So,
down.
yeah.
I didn't see the fifth wheel there, so I'm like, where'd they go?
Yeah, no. Yep, we sold it
Oh,
and, we just sold it.